What we've done is we've set up our 054 pinhole camera on a tripod. I'm using 3 sections here held together with elastic bands, and that's going to give me an angle of view which is something like 24mm on a full frame 35mm sized camera. So it's going to be a pretty wide angle, and I need to get some kind of idea of exposure, and I'm going to use a spot meter to do that. Now obviously you don't need to do that, you could just use your handheld camera, get an exposure reading from that, maybe use an instant light meter. I'm going to use a spot meter because I want to see not only how much exposure to give, but I also want to see what kind of contrast range I've got. So I'm going to be spot metering from the lowest, darkest parts of the image and from the brightest parts of the image, and that's going to help me to work out what the exposure time should be, and it's also going to give me some indication of what kind of level of development I need for that particular plate. Okay, so here's my spot meter, and I'm going to take some meter readings looking at the darkest areas right underneath this stone. That's giving me a reading of around about 11, and the brightest areas are going to be right up in the sky, and that's giving me something like 16. So I've only got about 5 stops of brightness, which means that I'm probably going to have to give a little bit more development than I normally would. So I've worked out then that somewhere in the region of around about 20 seconds is going to be the right sort of exposure for the 100 ISO film I'm using. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to attach my 5.4 darkslide to the back of the camera using these highly sophisticated elastic bands. Here's one. Here's another to hold it in place. There we go. I'm going to pull out my darkslide and I'm going to do a 20-second exposure. Here we go. And there we go. And when I put my darkslide in, I'm going to turn it round the other way and slide it back into my cut film holder, and that way I know that that particular one has been exposed.